and welcome. It's good to have you join us. It's another edition of NAFDAC and Your Health, where you get to know about the activities of NAFDAC, which is geared towards safeguarding the health of Nigerians. I am your host, Amanda Ugo. On today's edition of NAFDAC and Your Health, we will be discussing food labeling. We'll talk about the significance of food labeling and why consumers need to always read the labels on the packaged food products they buy. We'll go on to talk about international standards in safety and particularly food labeling, as well as the role of CODEX Alimentarius in all of this. And in the second segment, we'll be bringing you highlights from the recently held preparatory meeting for the 48th session of the CODEX Alimentarius, scheduled to hold in Canada later this year. The labels on packaged food products are not supposed to be optional. They are compulsory as they communicate information about the products to the consumers. Labels on food products supply information such as dates, ingredients used, allergens, instructions for storage and preparation, as well as advisory and warning statements. In essence, labels help to protect the consumers and help them make informed decisions when shopping. These factors that point to the significance of labels are the reasons NAFDAC, as an agency charged with the responsibility of safeguarding public health, takes the issue of labeling on her regulated product very seriously.
In terms of additives in food, I'm very finicky because I go to the grocery store to buy food. I don't have that much time as a DG, but I still go to ShopRite. I look at the label. Before, I was not. When I was in the US, I wasn't. The first maybe few years, 10 years or whatever, even FDA US wasn't focusing on labeling as such. But later, they also developed, their guide, not developed their guidances, revised their guidances and so on, and started paying attention to some food additives. One of them is MSG. It was around that time that I started paying attention as consumer. You have to pay attention. We now have a guidance or regulation that was published 2021 in terms of food labeling. So if it is bromate, if it is sugar or salt or MSG, all this must be on the label. Not just flavor. What type of flavor? So why is this so important? Bromate can cause all sorts of damage to the liver, to central nervous system, may cause seizures. Aside from the fact that some people may be allergic to it. My own son is allergic to, and myself, we're allergic to MSG. So it's not even the tiny amount. It is the presence at all. That doesn't mean it's not good if it's used reasonably, at a reasonable level. But there are some people that have reaction to it. And there's nothing we can do except put that in the labeling. But consumers must educate themselves that they have to read label. Because some of these additives have side effects. Allergic reaction, asthmatic-like reaction. Cancer, like I said before, something you eat every day for the rest of your life. Maybe 60 years, 80 years. After tiny amount will start getting lodged in different organs. Before you know it, cancer. Before you know it, one form of the disease or the other. That is why we have to read label, but we have the responsibility of ensuring that what is put on the label is what we approved. And if they change label on us, we yank them off. We close them down. We do not give room for people to use whatever they want. Even the advertisement, the packaging, if we the drawing, the artwork, must be consistent with what we approved.
NAFDAC does not carry out her regulatory activities in isolation, but in accordance with the stipulations and guidelines of international regulatory bodies. This is because of the trade with other countries of the world through importation and exportation of products regulated by NAFDAC. This also covers food products as a major product regulated by NAFDAC. Based on this, NAFDAC's regulatory activities on food are usually in tandem with the guidelines and resolutions of CODEX Alimentarius.
CODEX Alimentarius is an entity that enforces or put guidances out in terms of food, what is inside the food, levels at which something should be present in food. And it is a global entity. It is made up of FAO and WHO. When they meet, they become very, during the discussion, you will see to the minutest level of something present in the food. They will say, okay, 0.02 milligram should be there. Now, 0.02 milligram may be for Nigeria or the African continent. It may be different from another population. Why? Because through studies, they found out it is not like they are discriminating. It is that they have found out that the way we handle products or additives or whatever is different. So that is why Nigeria goes to CODEX Alimentarius meeting every year. It is also a trade organization in a way. And you will see each country try to put their better foot forward. That is why SON and NAFDAC work very closely in the country to ensure that what we are getting is what we are supposed to get based on CODEX Alimentarius. It's not a static organization. They improve and change their guidances with time. I want to talk about salt and sugar. If CODEX says X amount is okay, we also have the national body that will say, oh, okay, X amount is okay, or X amount is not okay. We want it lower, based on studies. So CODEX Alimentarius doesn't force itself on any country, but if for UK, for example, it is 0.2, for Nigeria or Africa is 0.3, you cannot ship things to that country and use 0.3. You have to use whatever that country has been linked with, their whatever concentration or whatever that is associated with that country. So that is part of why during exportation or rejection sometimes we think that our own standards are different or are the same. No. The same thing with if they are bringing something to our country. If ours is 0.2 and theirs is 0.3, we will not accept it. Because these things have been stipulated for different countries or different geographical zones.
NAFDAC and Your Health continues after the short break. Please stay with us.
God bless this home.
Please come in.
Thank you very much.
Have a seat.
Where's Mommy and Junior?
Uncle T! I heard your voice, Uncle T!
You will quickly go and buy Shakis for your uncle from Auntie Carol's shop.
What? Uncle, don't you know that sending Junior to buy Shakis at this tender age could instill in him the urge to drink alcohol? persons under the age of 18 should have nothing to do with alcohol. Uncle, please, give me the money. I'll go buy it by myself.
Honestly, I didn't know.
What? But I told you before.
The Federal Ministry of Health has warned that persons under the age of 18 should have nothing to do with alcohol.
I will never send him on such errands again.
It is the responsibility of all of us, parents, sellers, guardians, to stop underage drinking of alcohol. Join us today.
Welcome back. You are still watching NAFDAC and Your Health. The vital role Codex Alimentarius plays in the regulatory directives and laws, NAFDAC and other relevant regulatory bodies on food issue is the reason the Codex Technical Committee in Nigeria attends the annual global meeting of Codex Alimentarius to present the country's position to be part of deliberations that will guide the regulations of food products vis-a-vis global standards. The 48th session of the Codex Alimentarius global meeting will therefore be focusing on food labeling, and in preparation for the meeting scheduled to hold in Canada between the 27th of October and the 1st of November, a preparatory meeting was held at the Lagos office of NAFDAC recently. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, who chaired the meeting, was represented at the Codex Alimentarius preparatory meeting by Mrs. Eva Edwards, the agency's Director of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition. In her opening remarks, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, speaking through the FSAN director, expressed her gratitude to the stakeholders present at the meeting for their consistency and commitment towards advancing food safety and consumer protection. She also explained the significance and role of Codex food labeling standards.
Codex food labeling standards offer a range of benefits that enhance food safety and consumer awareness globally. These standards provide consumers with essential information about ingredients, about nutritional content, and allergens, enabling them to make informed choices about the foods they purchase and consume. For businesses, compliance with these standards facilitate access to international markets by ensuring that products meet various regulatory requirements. This not only reduces the risk of legal issues, but also enhances the competitiveness of products on a global scale. In addition, these standards can highlight sustainable practices, promoting environmental awareness and encouraging responsible consumption. As we embark on this preparatory meeting, let us put at the fore the vital role that food labeling plays in our increasingly globalized food system. Accurate, clear, and comprehensive labeling not only empowers consumers to make informed choices, but also fosters trust in our food supply chains. It is our duty to ensure that these labels reflect the highest standards of safety, quality, and transparency. I am confident that our discussions here will contribute significantly to these goals. In preparation for the 48th session of the Codex Committee on Food Labeling, we must address a range of crucial topics that reflect both the challenges and opportunities we face in food labeling today. From nutritional information and health claims to allergen management and environmental sustainability, our agenda is comprehensive and speaks to the current realities of our times. It is imperative that we approach these discussions with a spirit of collaboration and open-mindedness in the best interest of Nigeria, recognizing the diverse perspectives and experiences that each delegate brings to the table.
The NAFDAC DG further emphasized the significant place of Codex standards.
I would also like to emphasize the important place of Codex standards. First, as a mark of consumer protection and as a means of facilitating trade in safe, wholesome foods across borders. Codex standards are therefore strategic in enhancing our capacity to engage meaningfully with trading partners in the global space. As Nigeria's delegates, we bear the responsibility of having a strong voice at the table to put forward Nigeria's positions and issues as they relate to our national interests, while remaining committed to the principles of science-based decision-making and consumer protection, which are the hallmarks of CODEX.
The NAFDAC DG, speaking further through the FSAN director, also implored participants at the preparatory meeting to share their insights and experiences so that they could be leveraged to foster dialogue, build consensus, and arrive at national positions for the 48th session of the CODEX Committee on Food Labeling that will advance the cause of food labeling and consumer protection in Nigeria. The stakeholders represented at the meeting included the Standards Organization of Nigeria, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Agency, Nestle PLC, among others.
With respect to this physical participation of Nigerians' delegation at this session, the CODEX Contact Point, CCP, has registered representatives of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Also registered delegates from the Standards Organization of Nigeria, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, and the Association of the Food, Beverage and Tobacco Employers, AFBTA.
As we gather to discuss food safety and quality standards, I'd like to emphasize the importance of aligning our national standards with international best practices. This is crucial for Nigeria's non-oil export growth, as it enables our products to compete favorably in the global market. At NAPC, our vision is to make the world a marketplace for Nigerian non-oil export products. To achieve this, we are committed to diversifying Nigerian product base, promoting export readiness, enhancing trade facilitation. In this context of food safety, we recognize the need for science-based standards. That is, ensuring that our national standards align with international CODEX standards. Quality competent authorities, that is, strengthening our regulatory framework to guarantee safe and nutritious food. Export incentives, encouraging Nigerian exporters to meet international food safety requirements. We appreciate the National CODEX Committee, Technical Committee's efforts to develop and harmonize national standards. Nigeria Export Promotion Council is committed to supporting this initiative and ensuring that Nigeria's non-exports meet global standards.
It's an honor to be here. I'm glad to be here to be part of this discourse because the issues that we're going to discuss today are very pertinent to our work and crucial to consumer protection. So it's an honor to be here. I'm glad, and I'm glad that I'm going to also have the opportunity to rub minds with people in the industry and other NGOs and to get prepared for the session in Canada. It's a delight to be here this morning, and the topic of food labeling is critical to all of us here present, be regulators, industry, all stakeholders, as it impacts choices, it impacts and ultimately relates to food safety and quality, which are very critical topics. As industry, we are excited to be here to be part of this discourse this morning. The topics for the CCFL meeting, which we are congregated here for, are very interesting, and we look forward to an engaging and fruitful deliberation this morning as we align on a common position in promotion of consumer health and fair trade practices. There have been lots of alobanu out there on whether GMO is safe or not. And one of the major issues being discussed is labeling. The issue of labeling, as far as the global community is concerned on GMO, is voluntary. However, in MPM in Nigeria, we choose that it's compulsory. Fortunately, unfortunately, we do not have a guideline on labeling yet. We have it in our policy, we have it in our act, we also have it in our regulations. We've just started the process of developing a guideline. And so what we did was to go to NAFDAC, who is in charge. We had a meeting and we have agreed to set the ball rolling. And this meeting is very, very pertinent to us.
Deliberations held included revision of current food packaging and labeling in CODEX, as well as other issues that have to do with food labeling, positions to be presented at the meeting in Canada.
Here on the agenda today, we're talking about the revision of the food labeling, pre-packaged food labeling standard in CODEX. So a lot of things, they want to talk about the allergens, because we know allergens, people react to some things, so they want to talk about it. They want to talk about e-commerce. We know there's a lot of selling things online, and it's become popular since after COVID. A lot has been happening in the virtual space. So CODEX still wants to be sure that there's a guidance. So the guidelines are being talked about here. So, and you know what labeling does? It enlightens the consumer. You know, it tells you so you can make an informed decision.
That is all we have for you on this edition of the program. Another educative edition will come your way again next week. Meanwhile, if you have any information for NAFDAC that will aid its efforts to safeguard the health of Nigerians, please reach out to us.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email nafdac@nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Do not be part of the criminal act of producing, importing, distributing, marketing, advertising, or selling of unwholesome food products, fake drugs, cosmetics, and medical equipment. These acts pose great danger to the health of Nigerians. Till we meet again next week, stay safe.